I took my baby on a Saturday bang. Boy, is that girl with you? Yes, you're one and the same. Now I believe in miracles, and miracles has happened tonight. But if you're thinking about me, baby, it don't matter if you're black or white. Modern black and white movies on this episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast.
Attention planet Earth and beyond. Stay tuned for Attack of the Killer Podcast. 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 Yay.
Woohoo! Time once again, ladies and gentlemen, for that aged, old-timey radio hour, Attack of the Killer Podcast. This is episode 235 called Modern Black and White, where we will be discussing horror movies that choose to be shot in black and white. They did it on purpose, when they could have easily shot in color, because color is always better.
Is it?
We're going to find out. Now, Attack of the Killer Podcast, it's a horror movie podcast. It's not just any run-of-the-mill horror movie podcast. It's a horror movie podcast where a group of friends get together and talk about horror movies within a certain topic. But it's not just any horror movie podcast where a group of friends get together and talk about horror movies within a certain topic. It's a horror movie podcast where a group of friends get together and talk about horror movies within a certain topic.
You're on a roll there, buddy. Got it.
I kind of forgot my point.
Yeah.
All right, never mind.
Stay on topic.
Hope you like the show. Now, if you do enjoy the show and want more Attack of the Killer podcast in your life, you should jump on over to jointheattackers.com. You can become a special class of human being by becoming an attacker at jointheattackers.com. By becoming an attacker, you can help support the show and keep it going and growing. And as a thank you to our supporters, you get bonus content, more bonus content for your buck than I believe any other podcast out there. I said it. You can get all kinds of stuff, like, for example, my YouTube show, Insane Mike's 1 Minute Top 10 List. Here's an example of what that show is like. Here's Insane Mike's 1 Minute Top 10 List of why you should become an attacker. Yes. Number 10, bonus episodes. Number 9, weekly YouTube video series, video updates. Number 8, your own official certificate and membership card. Number 7, Mikey's Monsters, where I draw you as a monster of my choice. Number 6, shout outs on the show. Number 5, our monthly video series, Killer Critiques. Number 4, your very own Attack of the Killer podcast t-shirt. Number 3, early access to the main show. Number 2, you get to be a part of our monthly horror hangout show and tell. And number 1, the knowledge that you are better than everyone else. So go to jointheattackers.com, sign up for the content that you want, and become an attacker today.
And you owe us now because you listened to that.
That's right. Yeah, that shit ain't free.
Cough it up.
Okay, you know what time it is? No, it's not hammer time. It's time to introduce you to the podcast crew. What's black and white and red all over? Andy!
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I've been in a few car wrecks, I guess. So, yeah, technically.
Hey, pianos are black and white. What do you call a goat that plays a piano?
What?
Billy Joel. Tad, everybody.
Huh?
What is happening?
Are you having a stroke?
Get it?
Are you smelling oranges right now?
Like Billy Goat. Billy Joel.
Oh.
His doctor told him he has to be colorblind. He replied, This news is coming completely from out of the green. Jason, everybody.
Oh, wow. Hey, everybody. In spite of all that, thanks for listening and tuning in. Please hang in there. It'll get better.
And now our very special guests. That's right, guests.
Whoa.
From the Bret and Tony podcast, Abe and Ashlyn.
Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thanks for having us. This is exciting.
Oh, we're the excited ones to have you here. This is awesome.
Yeah, that Bret guy's old news.
That's right.
In with the Abe and Ashlyn.
So why don't you tell our listeners a bit about yourselves and your show?
Well, as you said, we are Abe and Ashlyn. We are from the Bret and Tony podcast, and it's basically a weekly show. One week we just do a deep dive on some random topic. We had Tad join us for Sleep and Dreams, which was amazing. And then the other week we talk about a deep dive on a B movie we find on Shudder.
Yay,
And on
Shudder.
our new, hell yeah. And on our newest episode, we actually had Mr. Jason come on and we talked about Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That's right, Mr. Jason.
That's right. Got to be official.
That was a lot of fun. You
Hell
guys'
yeah.
show's so fun.
Well, thank you.
We're glad you think so.
Sure do.
I'm just waiting for my invite to be on the show.
Oh, Mike.
Oh, it's in the mail.
All right. Well, awesome. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Yes, thank you.
This is going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, spring is in the air and time to be outside and frolicking in the open fields. But instead, we hide inside and watch movies. So here's Tad with What We Watched.
All right, we got a lot of people on today, so we're gonna go right into it. Andy, what have you watched?
I have been trying to keep up with Creep Show, and I've been loving what they put out. So I'll be brief. You know, I know most of us watch it, so I won't touch much on that. The wife and I have been trying to catch up on Fargo, and we're liking the Ewan McGregor dual role that he's playing on that, which is it's a season previous, but. The one thing that I really like to talk about, and I cannot pimp this show enough, you don't even have to be a professional wrestling fan to watch this show because it's so good, and it's The Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah, Brian Pillman episode was sad.
Oh my gosh. It was heartbreaking. Just what happened to his wife, his first wife, and how big of a piece of crap that his second wife was, and just what his kids, went through after he died. I love The Dark Side of the Ring. I will put it up against any ESPN 30 for 30, if it may be even better in my opinion. But I watched that, and I also watched Suburban Gothic with Kat Dennings and Ray Wise. That's on Shudder. Ray Wise, everything I tend to watch him in, I just end up liking him more. But yeah, if you do watch, and I know I'm going backwards here again, but if you do watch Dark Side of the Ring, you will absolutely fall in love with Brian Pillman's sister, because she's like the sweetest lady that you'll ever see. And they recently he had a T-shirt that's had Brian effing Pillman on it, and it's an old one. And recently, Pro Wrestling Tees released a T-shirt just like it. But instead of his face on it, it has Aunt Linda's face on it, because she kind of helped take care of the kids. And it says Linda effing Pillman. It says Linda effing Pillman on it, and it's the fact that they made it is just, it's totally awesome. But yes,
Did you order one without sleeves already?
No, I didn't. I actually guilty as charged. Not the Linda effing Pillman one, but I got the remake of the ECW one that says Brian effing Pillman on it, and it's
Nice.
they do not come without sleeves. But
You just flex and they fly off.
yes, I Incredible Hulk that shit right off.
They disintegrate when you try to put the
Yes.
shirt on.
Yeah, fuck you, sleeves. But anyway, that's what I watched. But yes, please watch Dark Side of the Ring. You won't regret it.
So,
Sounds cool.
has everybody finished Creepshow season 2?
Nope.
Not,
I got a
not
few
yet.
episodes to go yet.
Yeah.
Oh man, the finale. I'm not going to spoil anything that's not already in the description, but it's Justin Long. He invents a VR machine where he can go into whatever movie he wants to, and he chooses Horror Express.
Oh, cool.
So it's literally him in the movie with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing.
Oh man.
So they used original footage and put him into the movie. It's fucking awesome.
See, we watched a bunch of it last night and we stopped right at that one. We watched the very opening where they do that VR where the creepers doing the VR of Night of the Living Dead.
Right.
And then we stopped it right after that.
Any chance he karate kicks Telly Savalas off the train?
I'm not going to spoil anything, but it gets a little more involved than I expected. But it's really good. You're going to watch it, so check out. If you don't have Shudder, use promo code AOTKP.
Yep.
I was really excited to see Joe Lynch directing some of these episodes too.
Yeah, me too. And it's I see so many people complaining about the show and saying it doesn't live up to the movie or whatever. But I've had a blast with it. So.
The movie is a different beast, and I'll admit I took some issue with some of the stories in the first season because I couldn't let go of the movie. Because it just feels like some of them weren't as well written as I would have liked. Just because of my expectations of what an anthology comic book is, an anthology horror comic is. But this season's just so much freaking fun. I've loved every single episode.
Well, speaking of, what have you watched, Mike?
Oh, Creepshow.
Next.
I rewatched a movie I haven't seen in years. It's from 1983. Suburbia, not to be confused with the 90s movie Suburbia, which was directed by what's his name? I can't think of his name right now.
You're talking the Penelope Spheris.
Yeah, I'm talking
right?
I'm talking about hers, which was produced by Roger Corman. I had forgotten about that.
Oh, yeah.
It's on Tubi, and I hadn't seen it so long, and I freaking love this movie. It's about this guy, this teenager. He kind of runs away from home, and he ends up moving into this house that's full of all these punk rock orphans that just kind of just coexist in this dilapidated house. They're kind of all been thrown away by society, and everybody in town hates them, and they live up to their punk image, so they bring a lot of it on themselves. But the runaways in this house, kind of hold together as a family, and there's some really tragic stuff that happens that starts to unravel things. But the acting is horrible. If you want to go that route, but I don't care. I always say that I hate to critique on acting because you can't blame the actor for a performance. You don't know if it was intentionally portrayed that way, by direction of the director, or if it's the actor's choice or what have you. But what's cool is these kids aren't really actors, but it doesn't matter. It's still so captivating. All the characters are just so captivating, and I don't know. I mean, I've seen enough punk rockers in my day, and enough especially in movies and whatnot, where they all just kind of come off as just monotone, not giving a fuck. I mean, that was kind of the punk attitude of the early 80s, right?
DIY.
So, yeah. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Flea's in it. He's hilarious. He's one of the kids that live in the house.
Crawl in his mouth or something.
Oh yeah, he's got that rat all over him throughout the entire movie. It's really gross, but
I just totally pictured when you said it's got really bad acting, and then Andy sits up in his chair. He's like, "Oh yeah, go on."
I'm in. He sold me.
I guess I should preface it by saying that most people are going to think the acting is bad, but I find the performances really charming and fitting the movie and the attitudes. So there. Brandy and I watched a movie called The Power, so I can knock a movie off of the 2021 list already.
Whoa, look at you go.
Yeah.
One down.
I know, right? Look out, you guys are in trouble this year.
Let's check the chart.
It's already May, and I've got one movie down. It takes place in 1974, where a young nurse is forced to work the night shift in it. What?
It's just so true. That's funny. Keep going. I'm sorry.
She's forced to work the night shift in this rundown hospital. As this there's this thing going on where it takes place in Britain, and there's these power outages that happen at night, so everything just gets completely shut down while she's working, and inside the walls lurks terrifying presence that threatens to consume her and everybody around her. It's a pretty good movie, ghosty movie. So, sometimes I just kind of, my eyes roll in the back of my head when it's like yet another ghosty movie. But this one's pretty good. The performances are great. There's some cool twists at the end of it. And then the other thing that I've watched is Brandy and I have been marathoning the late 80s TV series Monsters. Anybody remember? Jason, do you remember
I do.
Monsters?
Of course, yeah.
Oh, Andy, you remember that show?
I remember it was on it'd be on what the WB is now. It's like Channel 9. I remember it's fucking Chicago based. I remember it was on
WGN.
there.
Oh, WGN. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I watched
Abe and
it.
Ashlyn before Netflix. Things didn't always stream
Netflix?
whenever you want. I know.
Yeah, televisions had dials and shit. Believe it or not.
The show was produced by Laurel Productions, so it was the same people who made Tales from the Dark Side TV series, and both shows were extremely low budget. Like, a lot of episodes take place in like one set, and the special effect. And what's cool about Monsters, though, it's like with Tales from the Dark Side, you don't know what angle they're going to take with it. Is this going to be like a Twilight Zone kind of thingy? Is there going to be some ghosts involved? But with a movie with a title of Monsters, you are going to expect to see a monster in every single episode. And it's got, some of the episodes are definitely, a lot of the episodes are pretty corny, and I love them for it. But, some of them take like just this dark humor angle, and it's a fun show.
Where's that at? You said? TV?
Oh, Roku TV.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, that's what I watched.
All right, Ashlyn, what have you watched recently?
Recently I watched the new Mortal Kombat, which I think was amazing.
Hell yeah.
Right on.
And then I don't watch a lot of movies, but I've been binging Anthony Bourdain's Parts Unknown.
Oh, so good.
Good stuff.
Yeah. And then Impractical Jokers. So
The best.
yeah.
Funniest show
And that's my
ever.
list.
Oh,
Who's
it
your
really
favorite?
is.
Who's your favorite?
Who's your favorite?
My favorite is Sal.
Mm,
He's
Q.
so cute.
it's Q. Everyone knows
Yeah,
this.
it's Q.
Whatever.
I thought everyone
No,
liked
it's
Joe.
Joe.
It is
Yeah.
Joe, isn't it?
Joe
Yeah.
is
The
best.
hilarious.
I
Joe's
can-
my second.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it's season 1, but the episode where they have to go around the table and scoop mashed potatoes
Scoop
on screen.
potatoes.
Yes.
Scoop potatoes. I die laughing I can watch that episode 100 times, and I am crying every single time he does scoop potatoes.
Nobody picks Murr. That's too bad.
No, Joe
Not
gives
the
me
ferret.
anxiety.
Joe gives you anxiety?
He has way too much no shame or fear
None.
whatsoever.
That's what I love
And
about him.
I'm there in that room, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is horrible to watch.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're the Sal of your group.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, Murr is good for the punishments.
Yes.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
like the best to punish.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Oh man, my favorite. Okay, we're
Sounds
going down
pretty
a
good
rabbit
to
hole.
punish, too.
My favorite punishment is when all three of them but Joe lost, and he made them all get tattoos.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. We just saw that episode a couple days ago.
How pissed Sal was.
Oh, so good.
He has a child tattooed on his thigh.
Oh. And they bring it up as much as they can, too. It's so great.
Yes.
Oh, you got to.
Oh, it's a big callback in the movie.
Yep. Oh, the movie was good.
All right, Abe, what have you watched besides Impractical Jokers?
Well, out of no reason, other than I haven't watched it in a long time, we decided to watch I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer.
Huh.
And holy shit, the second one, he paid for them to go to this island so he could kill them. Made no sense to my brain, but whatever. It was fun. And then we've also been watching the Fast and Furious movies because why not?
And the 9th one is coming out, you know?
Yeah. Just excited for the ridiculousness when it gets off the rails and just goes crazy.
And off
Makes
the
no
road,
sense.
and yeah.
And then in outer space, apparently.
Oh, man. What?
I think the newest one, yeah, is supposed to.
That's
Oh
the
my
rumor, so
gosh.
why not?
If If Leprechaun can do it, anybody can do it.
Exactly. If Leprechaun and Jason,
Exactly.
if it's good enough for them.
Right.
Wow.
When you run
Pinhead,
out of
don't forget
options,
Pinhead was in space.
throw them in space.
Wow.
And apparently not Price is Right.
No. Ever since Drew Carey took over, I can't get into it.
Yeah, I'm sort of on the same boat. Pluto has a whole entire channel dedicated to the Bob Barker era, and it's like late 70s, early 80s. It's so fucking
Yeah.
addicting and good.
Yep.
Jason watched like 4 hours with me once.
Oh, that was my
Dang.
childhood.
That's how we hang out.
Yeah, just so you know, if you ever come visit us at my house, you're gonna fucking sit and watch Price is Right for hours. That's how I host
That's
at my
his
house.
friendship test.
You're gonna know how much a fucking 1982 citation is by the end.
Yeah. Jason comes out in the living room. He's like, "How long have you been awake?" "I didn't go to sleep."
Yep.
Speaking of Jason, what did you watch?
Oh man, I watched so much stuff. I got to narrow it down. Oh my gosh, I
Are you
watched.
being sarcastic?
Yes. I watched Joe Bob, Ginger Snaps, and Fried Berry.
Fried
Oh, my.
fucking berry.
I'm
Fried
surprised we
berry.
went this
Yes.
time
What?
without mentioning
So
Joe
good.
Bob.
What?
It's fried berry is so fun.
Yeah, it was.
And learning about it with Joe Bob Briggs is fantastic.
That made it. It makes everything a million times better. It was good. It was good. Both of them were great.
Yeah, I haven't seen Ginger Snaps in a long time.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, my brain's still dealing with Fried Berry. If you hadn't seen that, but
It's like very much in the vein of Greasy Strangler. Like I said,
there are a
I
lot of
think
vibes for sure.
I
couldn't
tweeted
stay
that
up
it would be
late.
the perfect double feature. And
For real.
You know,
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mike,
I
I don't know. I mean, it is, but it's like, I don't know. It's not as fun. It's fun. I don't know. I can't say it.
I love the fact that the alien inside him makes him a better human being because he was such a piece of shit before.
oh yeah.
Yeah. It's bizarre. It's awesome, though. And yeah, I don't know how much I would have liked it without Joe Bob, but it was great.
I think it's something that if you watch with a crowd, like it when it was
Yeah.
on a festival run, that would be cool.
Oh, yeah,
or
yeah.
watching Joe Bob, but sitting it by
That's-
yourself and watching without any kind of, I don't know.
A little tough.
I watched it via a festival on my computer, so I did
Right.
both, technically.
And then lastly, we ran out of time before the show, or I'd have talked with you about it before the show, Mike. But I'm only 2 episodes in. But if you haven't watched Invincible yet,
I know. I keep.
Is that
mother
animated?
effer- it's animated. It's on
Okay.
Amazon Prime. There's like 6 episodes, and it's created
keep wanting to start.
by Robert Kirkman.
Yeah.
So it's smart enough, but it's also gory enough. But
Oh, yeah.
so very adult, but superheroes adult team up. It's J.K. Simmons is one of the main guys. Oh gosh, dang it! Walking Dead, Glenn. He's the main
Yeah.
character.
Young.
Yeah.
Oh,
Love
Sean
him.
Young. Yeah. There's some great voices on there, really good, and it's so smart and cool and adult.
Yeah, my friend Michael Rowland has been like clamoring at me to watch it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the book, so I've been looking forward to seeing the show.
Yeah, it's freaking fantastic. So definitely want to recommend that. That's on Prime, but Invincible. So that's what I've watched. Hey, Tad, what have you watched?
Of course, I've watched Joe Bob also. It's been
Yeah.
a blast. But I've watched
Killing it with the live tweets, by the way. Heads
Thank
up.
you.
Yeah.
Big ups.
To be honest with you, there's been a couple nights where I'm like, why does my phone keep blowing up? I'm like, oh shit, Joe Bob's on.
Yeah.
I'm glad to help.
Yeah, actually, you've reminded me. Like all the tweets.
Yeah, I rewatched Spontaneous. I showed it to Nikki
Ooh.
and my friend Adam because it's on like
Oh,
every
good.
streaming. It's on Hulu now, and I think a few other, maybe Prime. I don't remember, but I adore it, so I had to rewatch that when it popped up. And then outside of what we watched for the show in Joe Bob, I watched a really interesting documentary Saturday night on Hulu called The Orange Years, the Nickelodeon story.
Oh, I started to watch that.
Really, really, really good.
Yeah.
As someone who was born in the mid '80s and was a kid in the '90s, those shows were a little before my time. But I was like I was pretty young when like Pete and that stuff, but Are You Afraid of the Dark, very formative, and it goes from like the very beginning of Nickelodeon until like up to SpongeBob,
So
basically.
you can't do that on television and
Yes,
Double Dare.
Oh yeah,
even before that, when it was like it wasn't even a full channel. It was only on like 7 hours a day.
Right. It was a program, basically a block of programming. They bought a bunch of shows from other countries and dubbed them to fill the time.
Mostly from Canada.
Right. And then, which you can't do that on television, was also a purchase show. It was not their original content. And then
Alanis Morissette was on that.
The show got, or the program got so popular that they could start their own network. And that's when they brought in other shows that started original programming. It's amazing to see the history and how like Ren and Stimpy came to be, Doug, Rugrats, all that stuff. And they cover all of it. And Double Dare, all the game shows, Legend of the Hidden Temple, Guts, all that stuff. It's just it's a great documentary. It's about 2 hours long. They bring back all the original cast from the old shows and hosts and stuff.
Mark Summers.
Yes, all of them are in it. Keenan is on it. I mean, so many just cool throwbacks, but it's also just so educational, and you learn how much thought went into this channel and why it became such a big thing. It wasn't just like pandering to kids. They actually made an effort to not do any kind of merchandising for a long time, because they felt like all kids programming was meant to sell cereal and toys. It was like, at the time, Transformers, G.I. Joe, My Little Pony, all that stuff was just like, it was a toy first, and they made cartoons to sell the toys. So they wanted to make sure that was not what their new channel was. And like there was times where it, like made us tear up. So like they had a moment where they're talking about like the creation of Nick News, like how they wanted to create a news segment on the show and talk, like not talking down to kids. And they were trying to address the fact when Magic Johnson came out HIV positive, and how do you tell kids that, and how do you address it? And that moment was really wild, because they brought him on and they had a group of kids learning about it. And it's just, you have to watch it, but it's fantastic. It's worth the hour and 50 minute, I think, is the runtime, but it's so good. So that's what I watched.
What's it called again? Sorry.
The Orange Years, I think the Orange Years, the Nickelodeon story.
And where was it?
Hulu.
It's on Hulu.
Oh, awesome.
It came out just in 2020, or it was made in 2020, just came out recently.
Yeah, it's a really good doc. It's like each different show, they give it its own segment in the movie, but then it plays part of the bigger story of the evolution of the channel. It's a really good doc.
Now I want to watch there's a whole documentary on Ren and Stimpy that I want to see.
Oh my gosh, I love that show.
But you may not want to.
I know what it is. It's not all painted in the greatest light, but it's amazing to like watch this one and see just how not lucky, but they just, every single show they had on there was like a home run, and they just brought in people for pitches, and suddenly like, oh, we'll just give this guy a show called Doug because he's really nice, and Doug was this huge fucking show. It's just like they kept hitting gold without like doing, like they had no idea what they were doing with Double Dare. The first time they filmed, this is a little bit of a spoiler, but it's such a good story. Mark Summers is telling it, and he's like, I've never hosted a show, and everybody working on shows never worked on a show, and these kids are supposed to go through 12 obstacles in 60 seconds. The first one was a giant pillow. They're supposed to pull it apart and get the flag and move on to the next obstacle. We're sitting there filming. The kids tear this pillow open. They don't get past the first obstacle. They realize they forgot to put the flag in the first one.
Oh.
And he's like, I went back to my dressing room and I'm like, this is it. I'm fired. Like, how did we screw the one thing up? Like, they didn't even get through one obstacle, and we've done a day of filming. We're so far behind. But it's just amazing how things fell into place, and it's such a juggernaut now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's what I watched. We can move on to the episode now.
All right. Well, you guys may not know this, but Jason got a job at the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
He's in charge of all the track and field equipment, so he's really liking his new pole position.
From now on, like your parents were, you are the secret force of pole position.
Hey, everybody, it's pole position time. Hey, let's look back really quick. On episode 233, the poll question was, who has the best hair in horror? Horror. And our answers were Insane Mike had Samara, The Ring.
Correct answer.
I had Sammy Kerr, Trick or Treat, the right answer. Tad had Bride of Frankenstein, the actual best answer. And Andy had Taryn from A Nightmare on Elm Street. And the results.
Which was an answer.
Which was technically an answer. Okay, and the votes show it. Andy's in last place with 11%.
Wow. Harsh.
Jason, third place, 22%. I don't even know how to get on
I know.
this.
I already know who won because I looked at the results. But
Tad,
Cheater.
22%. And for the first time in history, Insane Mike figured out how to use his Twitter and voted for himself enough times that Mike won with 44% of the vote.
We are the champions.
Yeah, he's not a sore winner at all.
And we keep on fighting.
Oh, Christ.
just remember, folks, if you vote for him, you'll get this. So don't do this ever again.
Yes, please don't. All right, let's get into the question for this episode. The question is, what is your favorite black and white film? In all films. What's your favorite? Let's go, Mr. Winner. You go first. What's yours? And we all know the answer.
I didn't even finish reading the question before I answered it, man. Of course. There's only one answer for me, and that is the original Night of the Living Dead.
Yep. We all knew that was going to be it. All right, I'll go next, and it is my favorite, and I realized once I put it that I know I stole it from Andy because it would have been his.
Yeah.
And you could have had it because I really am surprised that Ed Wood didn't make it on the list, and that was gonna
Not technically a horror movie, but
well, that's why I said it's open. It's all black
Oriented.
So
yeah.
I wondered, and that would have been my backup. But yes, so Psycho from 1960. That's my pick. Tad, what's yours?
I went. I was the first one to pick a movie, but I wanted to go not your typical boring, like mainstream horseshit
come
answer.
on, talk him down.
So I'm, a film aficionado, someone who has a little bit deeper taste, someone who just.
No votes.
I went with,
just say it, you pretentious.
I went with Mario Bava's Italian classic Black Sunday.
Great pick. I will at
that.
least give you that.
I hate that it's a good pick. All right. Andy, what did you pick?
Well, since I just appreciate the real, just really crappy mainstream, just horrible. I have no taste. And I suck and I'm terrible. I wanted to go with, of course, like with Jason said, but since I feel like I can't just steal that back, since I stole the guest from Tad the other time, so. Jason was quicker this time, so I'll let him have it. I'm going with the 1958 William Castle classic House on Haunted Hill.
Ooh, that's a good one, too.
That's a really good one, too.
Gosh dang. All right, well, Twitter only lets us have 4 official votes, but Abe, Ashlyn, what would you guys pick? What's your favorite black and white film of all time?
I would have gone with Carnival of Souls.
Ooh.
Yeah, good. I considered it.
Good. That's good.
Yeah.
Nice. Have you ever seen the riff tracks of it?
I have not. I tried watching riff tracks once in my life, and I wasn't in the right mood for it, so I haven't gone back since.
I think, it might. There's a lot of them on Amazon Prime, and if that one in particular is pretty funny. I can't remember if that was a live one they did, which are some of their better ones, but
yeah, when they're live,
it's so funny. All right, sorry, Ashlyn, what was yours?
Okay, don't give me hate, all right, but
This will be tough.
I have not seen a lot of black and white films, and the 2 that I remember seeing was obviously like The Sin City and then Schindler's List.
It's
it's good. I don't much remember it, but I was young.
it's
But I
horrifying.
do have plans to watch Casablanca. So
Yeah,
maybe I'll just shove that in there in my list, you know?
you should. It's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was gonna make the Seinfeld joke, like, were you and Abe making out during Schindler's List? But I figured you probably wouldn't get it because you probably never seen Seinfeld.
What's Seinfeld?
I have
my
seen
gosh.
Seinfeld.
Jerry and his girlfriend got caught making out at Schindler's List in the theater, and his parents like freaked out on him.
I mean, probably for good reason, right?
Yeah, because his family's Jewish, and it was a big deal. So
Yeah.
All right, so everybody get your butts over to Twitter now at AOTKP. Get those votes in. Who got it right? Who picked your favorite film? Let us know what you're thinking. Thank you very much. That's the pole position.
Okay, so tonight's topic is modern black and white horror movies. And I just want to make a quick disclaimer. Our first movie we're going to talk about has a lot of, shall we say, very
Black and whiteness.
adult content.
Oh, yeah.
So this disclaimer, honestly, is probably more about myself, letting you know that I'm going to try my best to keep it as clean as possible and not be crass and not have a lot
Andy.
of adolescent jokes.
Andy.
trying to keep the just for myself.
Yeah.
I'm turning this shit upside down.
keep it under wraps.
Oh.
But with that said, Andy, what's our first movie?
Oh, from 1990 and straight out of Batshitsburg, we have Singapore Sling. Okay. All right. Singapore Sling is chasing after Laura, a romantic memory from his past. One night, he finds himself in a mysterious villa watching two women bury a body. He falls into their trap, and in an atmosphere of isolation and decadence, the trio act out insane pleasure games and a ritual of blood and murder. And that is putting it very, very lightly. I have to say before I go into this, I love the fact that this movie exists. And I'll tell you why. Because I myself am a writer, and I submit my work to various, things, and some people are hot on it and some people are cold on it. But the fact that shit like this exists, and films like Butt Boy, I love films like that. I love the fact that they exist because it definitely gives me hope, knowing that somewhere down the line that something might get made. But yes, as we heard, Singapore Sling, who only speaks to us in voiceovers, and there's a lot of fourth wall breaking in this film. Basically, this is kind of like, for as far as I can tell, like the bizarro version of like Death Game or Knock Knock, in a sense, because this is where the man comes to the two crazy women. And let's just elaborate on these
That was
women
all caps
a
crazy.
little bit.
Yep.
Let's see. We have a mother and daughter, and the daughter is just, these are very sexually charged gals here. The one daughter seems to, talk through her teeth a lot, which was a little weird. But let's look at mom here.
That's what you found weird.
I'm gonna get there. I'm starting off slow, Tad. Okay,
Couldn't believe she talked through her teeth. How wild.
So, and mom looks like a cross between a fortune teller and Susie Sue from Susie and the Banshees with a strap-on dildo. Is that better, Tad?
Thank you.
Okay, let's just start with the craziness here. We have two women sexually daughter and mother here sexually assaulting a gunshot victim, and one of them barfs in his face while doing it, and the other one takes a nice steamy whiz on his face while doing it, all while giving him electroshock therapy. And we're just getting started. We have backflashes of apparently their father was a 500-year-old mummy who, used to sexually assault the daughter. And then for some odd reason, and I'm sure this somehow fits into the plot somewhere, we have a woman who basically rubs her crotch with an apricot and then wipes her ass with it. Am I missing anything here? Oh, yes. Basically, sexual mutilation with a strap-on buck knife. We have got one crazy Greek bastard making this movie. I don't really know. I mean, basically, Singapore Sling is a private detective looking for this girl named Laura, and I'm assuming that he thinks that the daughter looks similar to this Laura that he's looking for. Well, Mr. Sling, after being shot by an unknown person, which I don't even know who shot him, Laura is not worth it, okay? I don't know. I'll just hand this over to somebody who can even try to make any remote sense out of this. Yeah, this is where you cue the crickets chirping here.
Right. Not Mike's
Anybody?
Exactly. I mean,
I messaged you guys and I was like, yo, is this the right movie? Because there's a mummy fucking a girl from behind right now. And I'm hoping that like no one walks in the room because this will be hard to explain. But this is the only one from 1990 that was labeled as a horror movie that was black and white. So it checked those things off the list. It's not a bad movie. Like before the show, we sort of talked a little bit about like, I can't believe, you were a little afraid that we'd be mad at you. And I'm like, no, like this is actually a good movie. It's sort of like, and this is not a comparison in tone or anything, but it's like you think about some of these other grotesque like movies that are really good. I don't even want to name, but it's good. It's like well made. It's well acted. It has a interesting story. It's well shot. Everything. It's just a wild. You can't believe the shit that's happening on screen.
Yes, I agree. I love that it made it. I thought it was like from the 30s. I'm like, wait a minute.
It's like a noir.
Noir feel to it.
Big time.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me that it was only 1990.
Even the score, because like the score has that kind of like noir jazzy at the beginning, where I got really nervous. I'm like, oh crap, this isn't a horror movie.
It's in there.
It's definitely in there.
When there's killing and gut dumping and
a mummy.
And there's I don't know.
It's classic horror.
There's deboweling. I don't know when they're putting the guts up on the table. It's fucking gross and awesome. And
it's strangely almost, like cupping, like that bothered me more than like some of the other stuff. Even though I know that's like a standard thing. Like I don't know. I love when she breaks the fourth wall and is talking to the screen. Like I love that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think what Andy said about the story is what the story is, and it's all there, and that's a great story, and it works. It's just it's also just told by a madman, and I started, I think everyone had that. What the fuck is going? What is
it? More than one language?
Is this? Yeah, that too.
that threw me off. What I loved about it is they just took the rule book and the norms and they threw it in the trash and said, let's just do what feels good. Let's just see let's just try some shit and hold on. And by the end, I'm like, God damn, this fucking weird fucking movie. I liked it.
I don't know.
It's effective because I mean, obviously, it's almost like a 2-hour car crash. You can't take your eyes off of.
Yeah.
So I mean, it puts your ass in the seat. I mean, you can't take that away from it. But another thing that I wanted to mention, I mean, that dinner scene. I mean, it's almost
sick.
beat. Well, yes,
Oh,
but
so
it's at the
gross.
same time, it's almost beat for beat. If you've ever seen Death Game, it's almost exactly the same scene. It's just like, because this guy is just watching these two women just eat like freaking pigs, and it's nauseating. It's ugh.
So it's very much an experimental film hiding under a narrative film.
I was gonna say, don't get too scared at that, because there is a narrative to it. There is a story-ish.
No, it's in there, and
It's there.
and it works because it's it's a good enough story. But man, there's some weird shit.
It's these two women that live alone in the middle of nowhere, and they've got nothing else to do but just have kink sex all the time. Like, there's role playing. Like, the movie starts off after the burial. It goes right into where they're having role playing.
Yeah.
The arrival of Laura that they apparently killed 3 years prior, and the role playing that night where she shows up and they kill her. So the daughter's playing Laura, and they go through the whole thing where she's carrying in a suitcase and she's pretending to be this Laura girl, and mom's sitting in the chair and she's like, kneel down. And just right out of the gate, man, the girl kneels down and the mom pulls up the dress, and there's this strap on right there, and she forces her daughter's head down on the strap on, and wow. So when that role play came back into the play towards the end, and that's where I found the horror element. That I thought that scene was really disturbing and creepy. Let's just seeing him there. Spoiler alert! But seeing Singapore Sling sitting there in the dress with all that makeup on, which I've seen that image before with no context, and even then I'm like, oh, that guy looks pretty creepy. He's got to be some crazed killer in some movie or whatever. But no, he's the protagonist. What? Anyway, and then he pulls back the dress, and the surprise that she has for him. Like, I was like, oh my God. And I was just happy when they redid the role play at that moment, and he pulls back the dress right away, that we don't have to watch her pick up and set down the suitcase 30 or 40 times like she did in the first part of the movie.
For a guy that's been bleeding out and being electroshocked for like 48 hours, this guy's got like the strongest constitution I've ever seen in my life.
For real.
I think the most
And he was
horrifying.
raped twice.
I'd say the most horrifying part for me was realizing that Ashlyn and Abe would be watching this. So I want to hear what they thought.
Yeah, I don't know, man. This one's a lot to digest.
That's true.
I didn't like the fourth wall breaking personally. I felt like he relied on it too much to tell the story and like to narrate everything, that it kind of like took me out of it. That, and what was the obsession with him tying his shoes? That drove me nuts. I did like Laura. She did good as an actress. I mean, she was batshit crazy, and that's what she was supposed to do. So,
amen to that.
But man, I don't know. But the worst thing about this movie, I think, is the fact that it did intrigue me so much. Like, it just left me thinking, and I'm obsessing of like what this movie means, and it drives me nuts. And I can't, I don't know.
I hated it. I hated it so much. There's just so much that, like, I don't need to experience this, and I had to watch it, and I was mad the whole time that I was having to watch this, and I was like, this is so dumb. But I mean, it was obviously good acting because, like, I was pissed. And I would just like to say that I was 11 months old when this movie came out, so just saying. And I hate it.
Well, I'm sorry to put you through it.
No, he's not.
Although
you get on the show, and this is what I give you.
Right? Although I did love the, like, Victorian style, like, old costume, and the house was, like, super dope.
Mm-hmm.
So that was cool.
Yeah. The settings were great.
Yeah, it was amazing.
I just
Boo.
no, I'm not shocked on that one. It's good to hear you finally say it out loud.
Yep.
I've been sitting
I
on
had to
that.
hold it in
Yeah, I know.
for like 2 days.
I really loved the ballsiness of just being out there, you know? I don't know.
Is that a strap-on joke?
I tried not to. I really tried not to. But yeah, I don't know. I appreciated that so much because there's nothing like this movie in the world.
That's for sure. It's one of a kind, man. It's like I felt like I needed to like sanitize after I watched this film.
Yes.
You know? It's like you need to shower.
See, I feel like there's a line though between like when you go out there and then when you just do something shocking just because you can. Like I feel like there's a lot of the things that he just did it just to do it because no one's done it before. But I don't feel like the motivation. I don't understand the motivation behind doing it. Is what I'm trying to get at.
Well, that's an interesting topic there because I have watched a lot of really shocking cinema, and I don't know where that line is, but I have moments where because movies like this really don't affect me too much compared to the shit I've seen. Yeah. But I don't know where that line is, but I have those moments where I'm like, yep, this is just some idiot just trying to shock me
Right.
for shock's sake and no substance. You know, like
I don't know that I felt
the
that,
human.
but,
Yeah, I don't feel that with this. I did not feel that way with this movie, and I think maybe because I don't feel that way, but you do, is that because I've experienced more of those type of movies. Like the Human Centipede movies, which are especially the first one, is way less shocking than this movie. But I feel like that movie was made just for the shock value, and that pisses me off. I'm all for gross and shocking content. I love that stuff, but it has to have more to it than just to be there to be shocking and gross.
Hey, Mike, let me ask you. Well, let me ask everybody this. I mean, do you think this movie is obviously shocking? I mean, we've established that. But being said, this is the black and white episode. Do you think this movie? What do you think this movie would have a even more different effect on us if this was in color?
Oh.
That's a good question. I think
we've got PP and puke and and it's probably gonna be a whole another ball game.
Oh, the dinner scene. Can you
that's
imagine
what I
that in
thought.
color?
No.
Oh,
Exactly.
no.
He was doing us a favor by putting it in black and white.
Yes.
I think I'm thinking about it too hard, maybe, but kind of thinking like maybe my attitude would change if it was in color. Maybe it would feel more shocking for shock's sake.
Exactly.
That's weird.
But I thought the black and white definitely seemed incredibly intentional with the time period that the movie is in, and
yeah, and it's and he's trying to go for like a film noir kind of piece too, and that's just a classic. But yeah, this in color.
God, why'd you make me think about that? This movie's not for the faint of heart. Did you warn people about that already? Did you say that? Gosh,
I gave a warning about.
I know
some of the.
It's tough. It's a tough one. It's on YouTube though for free. You should watch it, everybody.
Oh, don't do it! Don't do it!
Right?
Or you can watch it on Disney Plus.
No, way in hell, it's on there.
Make sure your doors lock. Make sure no one else is home.
Your blinds are like shuttered.
I don't even.
And you didn't just eat.
Cover all your bases.
And clear your browser history. I'd rather be caught watching porn.
For real, though. 100%.
I literally woke up early to try to get this out of the way, so I was like watching this at like 6 a.m. with my morning coffee and stuff. I'm like
cat on your lap.
Yeah. I'm like, I was hiding. I was like covering Bob's eyes as we were watching. I'm like, don't look, Bob.
Yeah, Tina got home and I'm like, sweetie, you dodged a bullet on this one. Oh.
I think you dodged the bullet by not
Yeah,
having her there when
That's true.
you might be moving back in with Mike.
I think another thing that helps separate it from being a movie just for shock versus a movie that's got shocking things for me is also I really thought the dialogue was written well. Like the performances were great, and you know, I mean, I like the fourth wall breaking stuff too, and some of those monologues I thought were very well written. I liked them a lot. And again, I liked all the performances, even though some of the daughters' mannerisms annoyed the shit out of me. I mentioned before during the role play at the beginning of the movie, she's holding that suitcase and she sets it down and picks it up like 30, 40 times, and it was driving me up the freaking wall.
The mom like redoes lines without cutting.
I was wondering if that was intentional or if they just missed some cuts.
I know.
And
Yeah.
No,
the way she delivered some of her dialogue, like she just like ran a 100-meter dash. It was weird. It's like, and mommy, she doesn't like me to smoke. And, Jesus Christ,
That was perfect.
Cray for sure.
And here's another.
Like,
Oh,
go ahead. You go ahead, sir. Please.
Another thing for me that again separates it is that when that moment happens, and I knew it was going to happen between the mother and the daughter.
Yep.
I still felt something, you know, even though these are despicable characters, I still felt something. And even though I knew it was going to go this route, it had to, right?
Wait, which part?
When the mother gets it.
Oh, I thought you meant when they did it.
It was such
When you felt something.
I was going to say
that was
his
weird.
pants tightening.
I know.
That's what he felt.
All right. Just saying that, like, you know, it was an emotional moment. Like,
for sure.
Not I want to necessarily say that I felt bad for the mother, but it still affected me on an emotional level. It was you know, again, I knew that it was going to had to go that route. And, you know, it was still like a shocking moment. And then I think that goes back to just, again, like the performances and the way the story's told, even though it's got all this shocking stuff in it.
I think if I want to see Joe Bob's drive-in totals for this. It's like David Lynch with a dildo.
Strap on foo.
Puke foo.
Oh man.
Pee pee foo.
He really did that. Oh jeez.
Okay. All right. We can.
Thanks, Mike.
Move on. You're welcome. You said you liked it.
Worst movie I've ever seen.
I
in my
didn't
life.
say I hate it.
It might be the worst.
Glowing
thing she's ever
review.
seen.
Golden shower review.
Oh.
I mean, this is a horrible, horrible comparison. But
This will be great.
I think about Pink Flamingos.
Yeah.
And
That's not that
There's still a
horrible.
charm to it.
that's it.
Underneath all that grossness.
You say you can't look away, you know, like a car accident or whatever, or a train wreck, but I also feel like you can't look away because you're just captivated by the characters in the story.
Yeah.
And Pink Flamingos is that way too. There's a ton of shocking stuff in it. But I know I've shown that movie to a ton of people that probably should never have watched that movie, but still laughed at the right spots and was engaged in the story and found the characters, as gross and despicable as they are, somewhat endearing enough to follow for an hour and a half.
What did Simon think of it?
Oh,
It's his favorite.
ouch. Not.
Pink Flamingo's birthday cake.
Oh, God.
It's shaped like a dog turd.
A dog. Yeah. Dude.
For those out there listening, I did not show my son Pink Flamingos.
Yeah, DHS.
But they
listening.
did watch Singapore Sling together.
Oh,
Yes.
bye, Simon.
So, moving on quickly, our next movie. Tad, what's our next film?
Our next film is Darling.
Is it true what they say about this place?
Oh, old ghost stories.
But
The caretaker threw herself off the upstairs balcony.
Ma'am, there's one room that I can't get into.
Don't concern yourself with that room, dear. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Waiting for anybody?
I was waiting for you.
They have got to tell you this kind of thing before you move in, right?
That it's haunted? It's true.
Okay, Darling. This is about as simple as a movie can be, but I really loved it. It's a black and white movie that's divided up, I believe, in 6 chapters. And basically, a young, lonely girl is hired to be a caretaker for a big apartment building. And turns out that the former person who had her job, girl, jumped off the roof of the building, killed herself, and we soon find out that this place is sort of haunted and sort of possesses the people who stay there. There's a room that's locked at the end of the hallway. She invites a guy over for some drinks and bad shit happens. But it's at its core, it's very, very simple. A very sort of quiet, moody film, but I loved it. I'm excited to hear what you guys thought of this one.
I dug it.
This movie was amazing.
Yeah, good. Ashlyn, I want to hear.
Actually, I really, really liked it, and I like how it was done. I'm a scaredy cat, though, so halfway, through, my notebook was in front of my face, and I was, peeking.
Oh, some of those, the loud moments.
Scared.
Oh,
Yeah.
a lot of good jump stuff, with the sound.
Yeah, they put the music in the perfect spots and the creepy changing of the scenes, when you're looking at her face and it switches to a creepy face. Oh god, it gets me and I'm so scared. It was so good though. I loved it.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
No, I thought the quick cuts that they did that Ashley was talking about, between the different expressions and the sound design and everything was just geared in such a way where it made you feel like you were on this journey with her and you were stuck, going insane with her. And it was really cool how they did everything.
Really gave you a perspective on her train of thought. And,
oh, absolutely.
It's really well made, and just, her psychological, and even in the house, she's not really psychologically breaking because she goes to that jazz club, that bar, kind of like a trendy little place where she meets the guy, and she just, kind of loses it in the bathroom there for a minute. And yeah. And it was, I like seeing, you don't see Sean Young, or, Finkel and Einhorn in very many films these days, and it was kind of cool to see her. That's what I thought, at least when I first saw her.
Yeah, movie with Sean Young, and she's not the craziest one in the movie,
right?
She's
exactly
only in it
right
for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Jason.
Oh gosh, guys, I hate to do this to you, but so all the things you guys have been saying, I completely agree.
But
there's a big fat butt coming.
Yeah, well,
call me fat.
Here's the thing. I don't know if I liked it. So no,
What?
Here's here's why. And here's why.
That Jason didn't like.
And here's why. Yeah, I know.
Here's why. Because it didn't have the A24 logo at the
beginning.
Yes.
That would have helped. But no. My two biggest things were I was very unclear with, and she's a great actress and I liked her in this and that's all great, but I was very unclear with her motivation and what her face was doing to the camera through the whole movie. It made me not understand what was happening in the movie.
Thank you. I was sitting here feeling dumb listening to Ted's description because I'm in the same boat as you. I didn't know she was possessed. I thought she was crazy the whole movie.
Right.
I got crazy.
Well, see, I went back and forth between that.
And the fact that we are split on it is enough to tell me I don't think they made it clear enough. Not like, I don't always need my hand held through a movie or anything. And,
sure.
And
she should have broken the fourth wall and explained it to the camera.
That would have helped. That would have helped.
But in French.
Apparently so.
What the heck? So so I'm with her in this movie, but I'm just like, it's not. Yeah, I didn't understand what and why she was doing what she was doing because of her face, and because she wasn't giving me the right emotions to tell me what was happening or what she was doing.
I'm not entirely convinced she was like possessed. I was just like, maybe she was just always crazy, and then just like house has a way of bringing the crazy out of the person.
That's what I thought. I mean, from the moment she shows up on screen, I thought like, okay, this character's crazy, and this is going to be a downward spiral of her craziness.
Well, then why was this a big deal made about this house?
Yeah, that's
being haunted.
Same thing. I'm thinking the same
thing. If
thing.
it's her being crazy, then it was the house that made her crazy. What about this room? What does that have to do with anything if she's crazy? Or is it the house?
I think that's kind of the MacGuffin.
Now, I think it's fine and cool and creative to not tell us any of that, and that's fine. You can do that and leave questions for us, and that's fine. At the end of the day, I was like, I don't know. What the heck is going on with her face in this movie?
It's just all about her face.
I liked that her face was like nothing. I loved that part of it.
I agree. I have no problems with her face. It's just what her face chose to do to tell me the story. It didn't help me understand. And then secondly, I know Abe kind of talked about it as being a good thing. And it felt like an editing device crutch. All this jumpiness, this editing. I felt like it was just here's a editing assignment in class to do some spooky editing. And this movie was made by an editor, not by a filmmaker. And that's the harsh way. I don't mean it necessarily that badly, but
I can see your point.
But like there was so much, all the jumpy, the music cues were all like, if this movie took out them jumpy cuts, what would this movie have to give me?
I wouldn't have been scared though.
And that's that's what I'm trying to say.
That's where it's a crutch. Yeah.
Yeah, but I disagree.
No, that's fine.
That's fine.
Well, like
the freaky.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'm good.
I was just going to say, looking back at like John Carpenter's Halloween, he screened it for several critics without the score, and they hated it. He added the score; they loved it. So, of course, without music and jump scenes.
Oh, and I really like the score that is in there.
The score is good.
Yeah.
Like Mickey Keating, the writer director, I had read that he was. I don't know. Mickey could be guy or girl. I'm not sure.
It's a guy.
Okay, he was. Watching like 60s horror films while writing this, and that's why it's black and white. Just clearly like early Polanski inspired. I don't know, just
I could see
that feeling of quiet eeriness, and I dug it just because of simplicity. Like going from Singapore Sling, which is a little bit like all over the place, confusing. Why are they making these choices to this? This is really easy to follow because there's almost nothing to it. It's such a simple little package.
And it's a low budget movie, and
right.
he got it on Glass Eye Picks. He put Larry Fessenden in the movie.
Yeah.
And so that they'd put it out on Glass Eye Picks, and because he's a fan of Larry and Larry's work, and that's great. I know it was a big deal for him to get him in the movie and got him to put out the movie. You guys might recognize Keating. He was the host of The Core on Shudder, that little talk show. Do you remember that? That's where he kind of got a little boost. He was doing that before. The Core, remember that?
Yep.
A fun little show.
Yeah, I love it.
I always wished it got another season.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. But then he got these movies, so that might have had part to do with it, why I didn't. But anyway, I don't not like the movie. I just, if only for argument's sake, I didn't want anyone to like it too much. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Dude, I feel like I'm 100% in the same camp as you. And I my jaw hit the floor when you were talking there, man. I was like shocked. I thought I was going to be like the super odd man out on this one. I usually am.
Right.
I too, I love simplistic stories with small casts, next to nothing casts. And I always say what fascinates me about movies like that is that if you can captivate me and hold my attention and suck me in to the story, that's what I love about those movies. And when they work. And this one was all of those things, but did not really suck me in to the story, and did not. I found it confusing as well. I at certain points I'm like, why are we hanging on this whole haunted house thing when clearly that's not what's happening here? Even though there's some really cool things that they did with the haunted house aspect. I love that shot where she's laying in bed and her head's in the foreground, extreme foreground, and that door opens behind her. That was cool. That was creepy.
Yeah.
But
so scary.
But it wasn't a movie that kept my attention, and so I kind of feel like it failed in that experiment of something simplistic that holds my attention. Beautifully shot. I too love the score.
Absolutely.
Great use of the black and white. Just right out of the gate, I wanted to love this movie with all my heart when you just get those beautiful cityscape shots.
Oh, yeah.
In the black and white. It just looks so fucking cool. But yeah, at the end of the day, and I'm with Jason too, where I'm saying I don't hate it. I'm just it's probably not going to be one that I'm going to rush out to put in my collection or ever want to watch again. And I'm glad I watched it.
It's mostly because I just didn't understand it the first time. I think if I read something or found out really a little more, that would help me like it. Because he made a movie, and that's fucking awesome, and it is beautiful, and it's great and scary and cool as fuck, and it just
There's a lot to like in it.
Absolutely. That's what I was trying to say.
There's a lot to like in it. Just at the end of the day, it wasn't a movie that I connected with. So, and I think on the same pages of what you're talking about, of just like, the story being kind of confusing, but for me at the end of the day too, it didn't hold my attention the way other simplistic movies do.
Abe, rebuttal.
I can't argue with it, to be honest. I mean, I see what you're saying 100%. It's just for some reason, I felt like the fact that it didn't explain everything, I don't even think she knew fully what was going on. And I think that's the whole point of like the movie in my head. It's like, it's kind of, you see it from her point of view, and it's kind of like you get sucked into her life and what she's going through. That's how I viewed everything. So, I mean, I do see your point. You make some points here.
So did this guy do something to her before the movie started?
Yeah,
because I thought it was a random encounter the first time when he picked up the necklace.
But she seemed to know who he was that first time.
Yeah,
and she just kept following him home and hanging out in front of his building. And why is she obsessed with this one encounter?
Changed,
right?
Yeah, it wasn't him. I think she got confused and thought it was someone who had done something to her. But then, because the driver's license scene is my favorite. Because, you see one name and then it just flips and it's like, oh, you killed the wrong guy type of thing. And I love it.
And that's when she has, a breakdown at that point. And it's just, so, yeah, I don't know
so the
what
house
made
has
her
some
kill him.
influence, maybe.
I feel like it was the upside down cross, the necklace that she found, maybe. And then also because the house is bonkers. I don't know.
And maybe because she's crazy, she's just more susceptible.
It's like three things of crazy, maybe.
And it has to be, I mean, the house has to be part of it because of the way they set up her as this replacement. And at the end, there's another replacement in this.
Yeah.
And the
it's
the same. So it has to be.
Yeah, Sean Young gave the exact same disclaimer
gotta be the
to the
house.
girl at the beginning, too. Like, there's history with this house and the last person that house watched it. So, yeah, I guess there is that with the house.
I kind of took it as that lady. Did you say her name was Sean Young or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay. I took it as her being like a collector of like souls or something. Yeah. Like she's trying to pull all these people in to like make them crazy and make them kill themselves. I don't know. It was crazy.
What's in the room?
Pictures.
Same thing that's in the Pulp Fiction briefcase.
Oh, yeah. That's right. No, that shines gold. We don't see what's in it.
Yeah, because this is black and white.
Oh, you got me.
Oh.
Dang it. No, it's good. And it's on Prime for those who want to see it.
So, Jason, what's our last movie?
Oh, man. Oh, my gosh. Our last movie of the night.
I saved it for you.
I know. And this one does have that sweet little something logo in there. Anyway, from 2019, The Lighthouse.
Tell me, what's a timberman want with being a wickie?
Just looking to earn a living, just like any man. Starting new.
On the run. Keeping secrets, are you?
No, sir.
Why don't you spill your beans? Why don't you spill your beans? Why don't you spill your beans? How long have we been on this rock? 5 weeks? 2 days? Help me to recollect.
Oh my gosh. 2 lighthouse keepers try to maintain their sanity while living on a remote and mysterious New England island in the 1890s. How about this movie, guys? Huh? Right?
I fucking love it.
Oh,
Salt in theaters. It's my aesthetic. I know it's art house, fancy horseshit sometimes, but maybe a little pretentious. But I love it.
Directed by Robert Eggers, the genius who brought us The Witch in 2015. Oh, man. Starring Willem Dafoe as the fart master himself. Oh, my goodness.
Why'd you spill your beans?
Robert Pattinson, Thomas Howard, if whatever his name is, I guess.
Yeah.
Guys, this movie's so cool. I you know what I'm going to say about it, and Tad's going to say about it. What'd you guys think? Mike, is this your first time?
This is my first time,
Hot
and which
dang!
is kind of one of the reasons, we were chatting before recording, and the reason why the movies were picked the way they were picked, because this topic was yours. This was one that you suggested, and you gave a short list, and you had some great movies on the list, but I just felt like, we had talked about them, a few times on the show, and I kind of wanted to do something different. Even though I know The Lighthouse has been talked about by you and Tad on this show, but not by all of us. So this one was kind of a cheat in the fact that I wanted to finally get around to seeing it. So I'm glad I saw it.
Good. That was the nicest thing he had to say about it. Great. Get it over with.
Here's the interesting thing, man. All three of these movies are very similar in the fact that not a big cast.
Nope.
Very small, minimal casts.
Yep.
All of them simplistic stories.
Weird aspect ratios.
All of them black and white. All of them also, I feel like, have unreliable narratives. Like all three of them have
you
characters.
Can't trust any of them.
Are that our main character? Yeah, you can't trust what you're seeing in all three of these movies.
Yep.
Because all of our, the people that we're following in these movies are kind of
losing it,
cuckoo, nutty, and losing it, going down, spiraling down. And this movie tries really, really hard to send you into the madness that they are in, and I really appreciate it for that. I don't know if it was 100% affected for me, and I think maybe part of that is you know how I feel about slow burns.
Yep.
So the movie felt a little draggy on at times, and repetitive in some things at times. Performances were great. Like those guys, like William Dafoe alone. I mean, I love him anyway, but this is probably the coolest thing he's ever done.
Maybe
I'm
for real.
And I just love that over the top cartoon sailor accent of his through this whole thing. It was so cool, yet funny, yet kind of dark at times, and it's this whole performance, and some of the imagery, and again with all three of these movies, there's moments where I'm just like, I'm not sure what is real. I mean, obviously there's things that are obviously not real, like him coming across a mermaid and
wasn't real,
and looking at her mermaid vagina.
Wasn't?
But
look like.
I mean, did he really witness somebody
see Edward bone a mermaid? That was fun.
I mean, did William Dafoe really chase him around the lighthouse with an axe, or was it him? So I don't know. What was really up there in the actual light part of the lighthouse?
It's a true descent into madness.
Or was he gaslighting him?
Yeah. So it's a good movie. It's a beautiful movie. Again, makes really great use of the black and white. Some really cool imagery. I mean, one of my favorite shots is when they're fighting and basically William Dafoe turns into the Kraken. That was cool with the octopus tentacles and stuff. That was fun. That was fun. But just for me personally, it was a bit long. I mean, there's a certain point in the running time where it's like, I'm getting what you're doing. You don't have to keep, but but I'm also kind of torn because I feel like, that's the point as well, that it's long on purpose of being annoyingly long.
I'll be honest, this was only my second time watching it, and it was way faster the second time.
Oh, well,
it felt like a normal movie.
But I feel like the length was intentional.
But I
not
felt
to
that
be,
the first time too. Yeah.
Not to be long as far as like in the pretentious sense,
just
like Tad was saying,
to play into this is what it feels like to be stuck on a fucking rock,
to keep you as uncomfortable as possible, to make you
put you in the
empathize with the characters.
Yeah, because these people are stuck on this rock for God knows how long, and you're stuck watching this movie for God knows how long. That sounded like a jab, but I didn't. But you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, I have issues with it, just in just me personally, in the length, and I thought things could have been a little tighter. In the whole. I didn't really, and maybe it was the time of day I watched it or something, or the circumstances I watched it. I probably would be right there with Tad if I watched it in the theater like he did with the experience of this movie. But I didn't feel like I got sucked into the madness for me, quite right. But still, beautiful movie, great performances, and if I was Siskel or Ebert, I would still give it a thumbs up.
I agree with Mike on this one, but I felt like it needed like a little bit more. I mean, I can only watch two guys get shit-faced, river dance, and furiously masturbate for 2 hours in a lighthouse, for so long.
You used to say 3 or 4 hours was enough.
Yeah.
What happened to you? What
This
happened to
isn't
you?
even 2 hours, guys. Come
Just
on.
on the river dance and the masturbation.
But it's shot unbelievably well. Just unbelievable performances. I mean, at some points it did kind of have me laughing because because I mean, obviously when they're completely just trashed out of their minds because they were mixing honey with kerosene and
Yeah.
And when that water bursts through there, Jesus Christ, that's hilarious. But there was times when, like you said, his over-the-top sailor voice, I was just like, when they were talking about food, my mind automatically went to like Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob SquarePants, you know? It's just like, say you like me Krabby Patties, say it, you know? Just the confliction that this, I guess his real name was Thomas Howard. That was a kind of nice sub story, you know. It's just like particularly when kind of like how William Dafoe's kind of picking his brain. I was just like, have you completely lost your mind? Maybe you still think you're up in the Canadian wilderness, you know, cutting timber.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, wow, that's really, really.
Yeah, that was a good speech. I like that a lot too, because I was thinking the same thing. That was a total mind fuck right there.
I was just like that really drew me out. I was like, oh shit. I'm just like, there's a lot more to this. I mean, it's just like I'm on the fence because I just wish it had just a little bit more.
No, but that's what it wanted to give you, you know, just tease you enough. Just teases.
I had one moment during the movie where I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, oh my God, what if William Dafoe isn't even real?
Right?
And then he even says that at one point.
Yeah.
I thought at first, and then he said it, and I'm like, oh fuck, that's where it's gonna go. And I mean, it doesn't, or does it? I don't even know. I don't know.
He doesn't know.
Down is up.
It's, I mean, this, and maybe that's what works in this movie because it as soon as it might answer some questions, it automatically starts posing more, and you're kind of back to square one, and nothing really gets resolved. I mean, you don't know what's in the lantern, why it's spooking Ephraim, and it's not completely freaking out Tom. Was Tom protecting Ephraim from the lantern? Because apparently it didn't do Ephraim very much good, because at the end he dies. Spoiler alert, sorry. But the more I feel like, God, I wanted more and I don't want to watch it again, but now that now I want to watch it again, but I don't want to watch it again. I don't like what it's doing to me right now. Maybe that's a good thing too. I mean, it is a horror movie, but yeah. That's about all I got on this
one. I'm sorry.
Abester.
Yeah, sorry. When I first watched this, I was actually more in Andy and Mike's camp, but then it sat with me for a few days, and it just kept me thinking and kept me thinking, and I just love this movie. I picture this movie is like what Wes Anderson's Fever Dreams look like. Everything is gorgeous, and just everything is batshit crazy at the same time. I also was reading in the trivia, and apparently, I don't remember the names, but it's based on mythology characters. Prometheus, there we go. And Poseidon. And Willem Dafoe is supposed to be the keeper of the light of the world, and Ephraim is punished for stealing the light from the world. It's what I understand, and that's why he was punished by being killed. And I mean, this whole movie, I feel like every scene is something that has like this deep hidden message, and just, there's so much to pick over. And the score was one of the most interesting scores. That foghorn.
Just the foghorn
And-
alone.
Oh, the foghorn was very effective.
Jesus, it's scary.
Yeah,
Man.
the wife said you could make a drinking game out of that.
Oh,
Nice.
I mean, it's droning for a reason because you're stuck in this place with them. And from what I read while shooting this movie, Robert Pattinson was drunk a lot, and him and Willem Dafoe had to be separated. Like, it was miserable for everyone. They fought in real life. It was quite the movie to make, from what I hear.
Wow. Nice. And that poor seagull. My God.
Oh my God.
Before I forget, if you're on Facebook, look up Robert Pattinson killing a gull to various songs. There's thousands of videos where they edit this video to the beat of songs, and it's my favorite Facebook page.
Oh my God. I know what I'm doing after this.
Damn it.
Yeah, same.
But we haven't heard what Ashlyn thought.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know. Like, I love one movie, I hate one movie, and this one's very... I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I thought it was
That's
interesting.
a win. That's a win.
I mean, can you really say that though? I don't know. I liked it, but I didn't like it. And I don't even know why I didn't like it. But I liked some of the artsy fartsy behind the, no pun intended, behind the, the really gross shots, like when the old sailor man is, eating and talking about it's bad luck to kill a seabird or whatever. Yeah. And he's spitting food out and stuff. I liked it, but I was also grossed out, obviously. But, yeah, I just don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I think I need a few more days to process.
Y'all need to watch it again.
No, I can't watch it again while I'm processing.
Yeah, I may watch it again.
The good
someday,
thing is,
but
it's
not
just
for a while.
you're what's making this film effective is that you're not indifferent about it. It's like you know you're affected. You're affected in some way, shape, or form. You're not leaving it aside. It's just it's effective because you can't really, you're pinpointed and it's still on your mind days later. So there's something to be said about that.
It's been a while since I've looked up stuff about this film, but I think I remember one of the things I love about it is the director Eggers. He fucking meticulously recreated this entire set from scratch. Yeah. Every ounce of everything you see on screen was made in this 1890s era. I mean, every single thing was created for this movie with painstaking, loving care to make sure that it was accurate to the time. And I know everyone's saying over the top with Willem Dafoe, but same meticulous, crazy amount of homework done to make sure that their dialects were correct and right.
Like straight up Daniel Day-Lewis type shit.
That kind of stuff. And he was kind of not Hitler about it, but was just very much making sure that every single detail was as accurate as could be, everything from top to bottom. And that kind of attention to detail gets me really excited. And seriously, when you watch it again, I'm not kidding you. Some of these Willem Dafoe's speeches are fucking 6 pages of dialogue.
Oh,
and it just keeps going without a cut. And you're like, motherfucker, this guy is good.
When he gives the sea curse after he doesn't like the lobster, it said that he did not blink for over 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It was so good.
And he's pumping his fists up and down. I mean, he's just
and it's no wonder these guys are pissed off and fighting each other. They spent months in this wet fucking lighthouse.
It was freezing. They said that the filming conditions were just unbearable is what it was. Rain and snow. There was no protection. Much of the film was shot in real weather elements, so rain and wind machines weren't needed most of the time.
Oh, that shot when they were out on there when he was waiting for the boat to come back. We were supposed to pick him up that day, and that shot just lasted forever of them just getting wind belted up on the cliff. Jesus, it was awesome.
Yeah, or go in this shed and look at this mermaid doll, pull your pants down in 30-degree weather and pretend to masturbate.
But what about
My God.
But what about the ending? Like, there's a minute between him looking into the light and where he ends up with the actual last shot of the movie. Like, so it makes you wonder how much did happen. When did that happen in the story?
Did any of it
if
happen?
any of it?
Yeah.
Gosh, this movie's cool.
I almost forgot about that.
Movies.
I actually forgot about that final shot there for a second.
Yeah, because he's naked on getting his eyes. You're like
getting eaten out by gulls.
So you're like, when did any of this, if any?
Or question this: was he a ghost the whole time?
When did? Yeah, So, God, I love it. I love it.
Posing more questions,
and I think the aspect ratio was done intentionally, obviously, to be of the time. Not that they had a lot of film rolling back in 1890, but that's why it was that. I forgot it's even shorter than 4:3.
It was 1:1 basically,
Yeah.
or 1 to 1.16.
Yeah,
or something outrageous.
Like, who does that? Oh, so cool.
No, that was one of the things in the trivia. Like, there was like a basically a short essay of like all the special filters and everything he used to get all the colors right, and it blew my mind how meticulous this guy was.
Excellent. Very cool.
Lighthouse.
Yep, that's
Also
Lighthouse.
on Amazon Prime for free. Check it out, y'all.
So that's it for modern black and white horror movies, guys. But fear not, there's still more Attack of the Killer podcast to come. After we take a quick break, it'll be segments time on the show. First, you're going to get to hear you'll get to hear shout outs and recasting with Christian Slater and Saints picks, all that great stuff. So, but first, before that, you're going to hear about our podcast network, the Prescribed Films Podcast Network. Not only is Attack of the Killer podcast a part of the network,
oh man,
but you can hear many other amazing shows such as Cracktastic Plastic,
pretty good stuff.
First Time,
all right,
and the Bret and Tony Show.
Woo, my favorite.
Whoop, whoop.
However, there are way more podcasts on the network besides those.
It's crazy.
Made by people other than just what's on this show. So there are many more to choose from, covering all kinds of topics, and you can hear it all at thepfbn.com. So check it out. And we will be right back.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal: providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
Welcome back, and it's that part of the show where we get to hear from you. That's right, you get to talk for a while. And weirdly enough, you all sound like Jason. Here's shout-outs.
It's time for shout-outs! 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 Shout-outs!
All right, it's time for shout-outs, everybody's favorite segment. On this episode, we asked, what are your favorite modern black and white horror films? And up first on our Facebook page, we have to clear out some of these tabs. We have Nightmare Junkhead. I miss those guys.
Oh, me too.
They said, watched Abel Ferrara's The Addiction for the first time, and the black and white only emphasized all the pretension and philosophy and it was grand. Oh. You're so right.
I did not like that one.
I wanted to so bad, but it's tough.
It's definitely pretentious, yes.
Up next, we got the Reebster, Mike Reeb.
Woo, Reebster.
He says, really liked Darling by Mickey Keating, as well as Diary of Anne Frankenstein from Chillerama.
Yes.
Yes.
Two completely opposite things right there.
And he says, I also do recommend the movies of Christopher R. Mim, an independent filmmaker that has been making 50s style black and white sci-fi horror movies in the last 15 years, such as The Giant Spider and Where Skeeto Nazi Hunter.
Yeah, I've seen several of his movies too. I have quite a few of his DVDs. Met the guy. He's really cool.
Yep.
He's been to Crypticon.
Making
at
films
Tables of
up
Crypticons.
in Minneapolis. I think.
Minneapolis,
Yep.
yeah. Very cool
dude.
guy. If anybody's ever seen the movie Last Skeleton of Cadavra, it's in his movies are in that vein where he literally painstakingly tries to recreate the black and white movies of the 50s, but unironically, where like Last Skeleton of Cadavra has a lot of jokes at the expense of those type of movies. His movies are played 100% straight, and they're awesome. Love them.
Yes. And up next, we got this guy named Bret Royer. You heard of him?
Who's he?
That's Attacker Bret to y'all. He says, "Can I say pie? Not P-I-E.
No, you can't say it.
No. Said pie. Don't think it's a technically horror, but that movie will screw with your head, especially when he's screwing his head. That's
I own that movie. I've owned it for years, and I still have never watched it.
It's amazing.
I know. Maybe that should be for my next unwrapping.
Yeah, but I don't think you're going to like it, though. I hate to.
If you find Requiem for a Dream a joy, you'll love pie.
Exactly. Except it's even harder on your head.
I'm going to say I don't find it a joy, but I do think it's a great movie.
Okay. Well, no, you watch it. Just don't make me watch it again. Okay. And then over in our Facebook group edition, we got up first. Jacob McLaughlin says, definitely got to go with The Lighthouse. Robert Eggers is a modern filmmaking master. Also, Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe give 2 all-timer performances. Absolutely. Attacker Brian J. Gotzel says 2 of my favorite are The Eyes of My Mother.
Yeah.
Hell yes. That movie fucking rocks.
I love that one. Yeah.
And he's completely wrong with this one. The Human Centipede 2. Full sequence. Brian. Not sure if we can remain friends.
To be honest, I like 2 better than 1.
Yeah.
Because at least, okay. Here's my
Here we
freaking Human Centipede soapbox bitch here. The first one, it's like, ooh, this is an idea. A human centipede where people's mouths are sewn to asses. Boom, that's the movie. I mean, it doesn't offer anything but just that one bizarre concept, or at least the part 2 goes down the spiral of, it's still shocking for shocking's sake, but at least he's doing other things in it where things actually happen that are gross and disturbing and not just the single idea.
Just kidding, Brian. We'll be friends forever. Thanks for supporting us on Patreon. Up next, we got Checkmark Dixon says.
No way, Checkmark.
Easy,
Nice.
Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
If you were literally talking about black and white films. But the original Halloween is my all-time favorite. Not black and white, but yes. Thank you, Mark. It's good to know.
And you can say you could throw Night of the Living Dead in modern because color was the mainstream of cinema by that point in 1968. So
yeah. Up next, we got this Andrew Wassam says the correct answer is Psycho. And then there's
which
just
is awesome.
A rabbit hole of Mark and Andrew talking about things. I'm probably just going to skip over that. Tim Lennerer says, going to go with A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night.
Another great one.
Because Sean isn't the only Fiasco Family podcaster who enjoys languidly paced black and white subtitled foreign language vampire movies. The Lost Skeleton of Cadavra and The Lost Skeleton of Cadavra Returns Again are a lot of fun. Very sincerely crafted parodies of bonkers, ass, low-budget 1950s monster flicks. Hell yeah, I'm glad. Of course those guys like that movie, as they should. It's great.
It's great. They're hilarious. And you can make a drinking game out of every time they say science in the movie.
Science!
He blinded me with science.
He also goes on to say, believe it or not, Tim goes on to say, the 2005 silent adaptation of The Call of Cthulhu is amazingly well done and tries to mimic what could have happened if Lovecraft's story was adapted to film in 1926. I don't think I've seen that one.
I've seen it. We've played it at the Capitol. It's pretty awesome.
Oh, cool. Jacob McLaughlin chimes in and says, now I'm kicking myself for not remembering A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. You should, because that movie's great. Nick Leadham says, oh, look out. He says, gonna go with Eraserhead and Man Bites Dog, if that counts.
Ooh,
of course
yeah.
It counts.
Yeah, Man Bites Dog is a great movie.
Up next, we got Brian Clark. He says, I'll second the Lost Skeleton movies and Call of Cthulhu and add The Whisperer in Darkness. Both of the latter were made by the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society, and where Call, did I say that right? Is done as a silent film, Whisperer is made like a 1940s Poverty Row programmer. Both are brilliant. The German version of Color Out of Space, Die Farbe, also deserves some love. It handles the color by shooting the movie in black and white with any appearances of the otherworldly shade done in vivid purple. That sounds neat. Definitely have to check that out. Like we all said, Brian talks about it below. Chad Planbeck chimes in. He says, if you haven't seen it yet, I also highly recommend Blamire and Company's A Dark and Stormy Night, which does to Old Murder in the Mansion Mysteries of the 1930s what Skeleton did for sci-fi of the 1950s.
Oh, I think I know that one. I think it's actually made by the same guy who did Lost Skeleton.
Ah, yes. Very nice. Yeah. And then we got Don and Nelly. He says, the black and white version of The Mist, which is better than the original.
Whoa.
And depending on the definition of modern, there's Tetsuo, the Iron Man.
Yes.
And The Addiction. The Lake Michigan Monster must also be included to be considered valid.
Yeah.
We got Erica Schultz. She says, Possum. The puppet is nightmare fuel.
Yeah, very much so, yeah.
And then Peter Parker, the attacker himself, Attacker Spider-Man, says, The Mist and Die Farbe, however you say it in German. Gosh dang. And we didn't have anything on Instagram or Twitter, but anyone can leave us a voicemail, give us a call. We'll play your sweet voice on the show. You can call us at 415-952-6857 or 415-95-AOTKP, and that is shout-outs.
Thank you, Jason.
Welcome, Mike.
And now, the Attack of the Killer Podcast Memorial Theater proudly presents... Proudly? The Attack of the Killer Podcast Memorial Theater presents acting at its most something. Here's Recasting with Christian Slater.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to another proverbial rape of your ear pussies known as Recasting with Christian Slater.
Oh my God.
For each and every wretched line germinates in your mind and assaults your senses all at once. Let's get this showcase to bad taste on the road, shall we? This week, we're bound to ruin a scene from Wes Craven's 1998 film Wishmaster. Introducing first my best friend and yours, playing the part of the hobo, is Don Knotts. How's it going, Donnie? Slater, you fucking son of a bitch! If I ever get out of this studio, I swear to God... Oh, looks like Don's getting into character. Real method type shit. Next up, playing the role of the pharmacist, is Eternia's favorite overlord, Skeletor.
Yes, I'm back to grant you all what you've been wanting. Me! I've observed those insufferable boobs at Attack of the Killer podcast from Snake Mountain. Tad E. Faces, Jason Bolingjor, Insane Mike at Arms, and who's the other fucking putz?
I've never heard of the guy.
Me neither.
Moving on, playing the part of the Wishmaster is rock legend Ozzy Osbourne.
Alright, I'm so excited to be playing the role of a pissed off genie. In my days, Jackie boy, I have emptied many lamps by snorting and drinking, only to find oil and dust. I am hoping a genie would enter my body, but it never happens. Now I get at least to pretend to be one.
Oz, I'm pretty sure you were drinking kerosene and snorting human remains.
You've just described my daughter's first piano recital, Jackie boy.
Of course I did. And for the last time, I'm not Jack Nicholson.
Oh, that's right, you're playing Christian Slater.
Before we go any further, I should probably mention that we have a creative consultant on this episode. We have in the studio the actual Whistmaster. Do I call you Wissy or do you call you Gin?
Holy shit, a fucking genie!
Well, what do I call you?
You may call me whatever you wish. Now, Slater, make your wishes.
I wish I didn't have to do this show anymore.
As you,
about that, dude. I looked into that, and that shit's ironclad. Not even a gin can fuck with that. What happened to your voice? My voice?
Oh, yeah, yes, my voice. Let us proceed with the festivities.
Right. Page 25, exterior, pharmacy, night. An old hobo approaches a woman as he walks toward the entrance of a pharmacy. Dirty and disheveled, the woman is appalled at the sight of him.
Oh, excuse me, lady. Help out an older boy? If you ain't got any change, $1 will do it. Hell, I'll even take 5.
The woman passes by the hobo without saying a word and enters the pharmacy.
I'll wait till you get back.
The hobo plants his face and hands up against the glass, eyeing the customers inside. Angered, a pharmacist notices the hobo and strides toward the front door with purpose. He springs the front door open and confronts him.
Hey, how many times I gotta tell you?
Hey, you have customers in there. That's not a good way to run a business.
Don't tell me how to run my business. You're a fucking bum.
Well, you don't tell me how to run my life. You're a fucking prick. I'll talk to anybody I want to. You don't own the fucking sidewalk.
You know what? I do own this fucking sidewalk. You wanna know why? 'Cause I pay fucking taxes.
Fuck you.
No, fuck you.
I hope you die, you sack of shit. I hope you die and you float down the gutter so I can fucking piss on you.
The pharmacist scoffs and waves the hobo off and steps back into the pharmacy.
Bald-headed baboon!
The hobo steps away from the pharmacy, still fuming.
Discomplected afterbirth of a Chinese gangbanger? Educated idiot!
The hobo continues down the street away from the pharmacy.
I own the sidewalk. I pay taxes. I got your taxes swinging. I'll tell you what you can do with your taxes, and I hope they poke a hole in your kidneys while they're heading up toward your throat. I hope you rot in hell.
Suddenly, a noise from the alley stutters the bum.
Who was that?
A cloaked figure emerges from a nearby dumpster.
A friend, perhaps. Tell me, do you really mean those curses that you throw so freely?
Damn right I did.
What would you do to have them come true?
The hobo lights a cigarette and digs a cigarette out of his coat pocket.
Cigarette and a handshake, about all I got right now, pal.
Not quite. You have a soul.
I'd trade that for a shower and a jug of Jack.
Then the death of your enemy would consider a bargain.
You really are fucked up. But I do like the way you think.
The hobo lights a cigarette.
Indulge me then. What would you have happen? Give me some thought. Enjoy it.
I should only get cancer. It should only get cancer and die.
As you wish.
Interior pharmacy night. The pharmacist, still irritated, is at the cashier ringing up a customer.
Welfare checks, food stamps, and another thing.
The pharmacist begins to shake and large boils begin to form on his face. He collapses to the floor and foams at the mouth. Outside, the hobo observes the scene from the front window in shock. He turns to see the cloaked figure as the pharmacist dies on the floor.
Was it worth it? Fucking hell.
The hobo screams and runs off, leaving the lit cigarette on the sidewalk. The cloaked figure reaches down, picks it up, and takes a drag.
Run, insect. Run and tell those you will what you will. Tell them there's something loose in the fucking city. Something that feeds on wishes. Tell him quickly while you still have a soul.
This concludes this episode of Recasting with Christian Slater, telling you all to be careful what you wish for. God knows I do.
We are going to travel around the world for our next few Insane's Picks Hall of Fames. This time we have flown over to Hong Kong to induct the wacky filmmaker Nguyen Chow Lam to Insane's Picks Hall of Fame. Nguyen Lam went by many names as a filmmaker. Lam Nguyen Kai, Nam Nai Chow, and Simon. This is going to be a rough one. And Simon Nam. So I'm not sure what to actually call him, so I'm just going to call him Lam. Lam got his start at Shaw Brothers Studios. He worked his way up to camera operator as a focus puller. From there, he graduated up to cinematographer, working for director Sun Chung on such films as Drugstore Connection in 1976, Big Badass Sis in 1976, The Proud Youth in 78, and The Avenging Angel also in 78. Lam became the top cinematographer at Shaw Brothers Studios. He was reluctant at first to move up into the director's chair, but finally, in 1981, he directed his first film, One Way Only, which was quickly followed by Brothers from the Walled City, then Men from the Gutter in 1983. All three films are crime dramas made for the Shaw Brothers. In 1984, Lam directed the comedy Three Stooges Go Undercover, written by Wong Jin, one of the most influential writers and producers in Hong Kong. In 1985, both Lam and Wong Jin left the Shaw Brothers and started making films for Golden Harvest. At Golden Harvest, Lam began making the films that would get the attention of Insane's Picks Hall of Fames, getting into horror, sci-fi, comedy, gore, outrageous stories, and even more outrageous special effects. The first of his Insane's Picks films was Ghost Snatchers from 1986. That same year, we saw what may be the craziest of Lam's films, The Seventh Curse, which I know we've talked about on the show, thanks to our good buddy Brian Clark. The Seventh Curse, much like most of his films for Golden Harvest, are also impossible to describe without people thinking that you're describing them while on drugs. However, here's my attempt. The Seventh Curse is about a cop who attempts to rescue a young woman from being sacrificed by the Worm Tribe. He fights a giant skeleton and saves the day, but not until the cop is damned with the 7 blood curses, which shows up in the form of explosions of blood and gore coming out of his leg from time to time. Once it bursts through, the 7th time, he's going to die. The woman saves him and stops the curse with an antidote, but it only lasts for like a year. Cut to the present, where Chow Yun-fat advises the cop to go back to Thailand to stop the worm tribe for good, or the curse will kill him in 5 days. Things get even nuttier, if you can believe that, as the cop and his cohorts battle the evil sorcerer of the tribe, also a monstrous baby creature, and an Ultraman-like monster that looks like a cross between a xenomorph and a bat. And that creature eventually, Chow Yun-fat, blows up with a rocket launcher. Golden Harvest was Lamb's home for the rest of his career, and Lamb became their specialist director for films with bizarre creatures and optical special effects. In 1988, Lamb set the ground for Cat 3 Cat 3. Let me start that again. In 1988, Lamb set the ground for the Cat 3 exploitation boom with his rape revenge movie Her Vengeance. Cat 3 films, or Category 3 films, is the label given to movies that are forbidden by any viewer under the age of 18. Another trend-setting moment in Lamb's career is the historical erotic comedy with fantasy elements, the movie Erotic Ghost Story in 1990, which started a whole trend of erotic films with historical fantasy settings. He then directed 2 amazing adaptations of the manga series Spirit Warrior, the Peacock King in 1989, and Saga of the Phoenix in 1990. Lamb's most famous film here in the U.S., though, is my personal favorite, his 1991 super gory, super powered prison movie, Riki-Oh, The Story of Ricky.
So good.
Need to see that.
Oh my God, yes, you do need to see it. It is so freaking gory and amazing and outrageous.
Oh man, so good.
Like Gem and the holograms. You so outrageous?
Okay.
No. There's a moment. There's a moment in the movie where one of the prison inmates throws glass into Riki-Oh's eyes and blinds him, and he cures himself by just washing his eyes out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not even the beginning of the craziness in the movie. Anywho, Lamb's last film was The Cat in 1992, and I'm trying to think of a topic for the show so we can all watch The Cat. It's an insane mixture of action, horror, comedy, and science fiction about a young alien girl and her cat from outer space. They come to Earth to escape the evil alien that possesses people and turns them into Terminators. So many hallucinogenic imagery that makes you question your own reality. But I think my favorite moment in the whole film is the 5-minute kung fu fight between the alien cat and a dog. Lamb's films combine lowbrow comedy with elements of action, adventure, sci-fi, fantasy, horror, mostly all at the same time. Full of various practical and optical effects that pushes beyond the limits of his budgets and the technical limitations of that time period. Sometimes slow at moments, but always delivers on the madness. Lamb was not a filmmaker who played by the rules. He set a lot of trends that expanded beyond Hong Kong cinema. I think his movies are so much fun to watch. And so for this episode, we induct Ni Gai Lam, or Lam Ni Kai, or whatever, into Insane's Picks Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Woo.
So that concludes this episode of Attack of the Killer podcast. Very special thanks to our very special guests, Abe and Ashlyn. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for being on, guys.
Hey, thanks.
You should tell everybody where they can find you guys at on the internet.
We are everywhere.
Oh.
We have a Facebook, we have a Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. I think Tony started a Reddit.
Now you're just showing off.
I know, right? It's at Bret and Tony. Just search that anywhere. You'll find us. You can also find us on Spotify, Podbean, Apple Podcast. Just go to pfpn.com. Check us out there.
Smart.
Easiest, you know.
Quick and easy.
Man, so good to have you guys on.
Yes.
Thank you so much again for having us.
It was
amazing.
a blast.
Good. I'm glad you had fun. We had fun having you on. Penguins, zebras, newspapers, old-timey bank robbers. What do they all have in common? I don't know either. So thank you for listening, and thank you, Attackers, for supporting the show. Talk to you on the next episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast.
Oh no, could this be the end of? Attack of the Killer Podcast.